Hail to the king. What's going on, everybody? Once again, you know who I am. Fucking videos after videos after videos. Well, 15 minutes is a lot less than 3 hours, but don't worry, I'm going to keep it in the podcast if you were worried, but it's probably easier to listen to this shit. Anyways, I had a bunch of ideas coming to me, and at the end of the last video, if I uploaded it already, I'm guessing I have, I kind of had to, I noticed the time was at like 14 something, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta finish up, because I only got 15 minutes on YouTube. So I kind of scrunched shit in there. First of all, Dolores Cannon didn't die in 2012. It was 2014. It was in October, and I want to say the 16th or the 14th, and I can't remember when. So I'm sorry about that. No disrespect to Dolores. I think she's amazing, and I love what she taught, and I learned a lot from that woman. The whole psychic medium thing always rings true for me. Not that I'm a psychic medium, I'm not saying that, but, you know, my grandma being that seventh sister of a seventh sister, and she totally was a psychic medium. She read predictions, fortunes, through the old-fashioned way. Well, her old-fashioned way was tea leaves, but, you know, tea leaves, you can put water in a bowl, do scrying. This person's DNA was in the fucking liquid at the bottom of the tea. You had to leave a little bit of tea. Anyways, point is that she was doing that with fucking a black cup. Anyways. And is that because that's in my blood? No, I think it's because it's programmed. As a kid, we all heard the stories about grandma having powers, so, you know, and that's programmed into me. So, like I said before, anything that you've been programmed from a kid, it rings true today. Is that why maybe I can do certain things? Probably. Is that why I'm having sleep paralysis happening again? Is it because, you know, sleep paralysis is just about, you know, the whole REM sleep thing? Your eyes, or, you know, or you have some kind of a thing, or is it really... So I'm trying to talk to you, so I'm going to get a message to you. I don't know. Whenever I stopped being fearful of the demon thing I kept seeing, or like my wife's eyes turning into demons. You know, I had dreams inside dreams. My dream process is always the same. Whatever room I'm in, I'm awake, but my body's still paralyzed, basically. But then I would see certain things. And whenever I got rid of my fear of spirits, I stopped seeing those certain things. So who knows? But anyways... It's happening more and more and more, and now I'm seeing other... Anyways, I'm not going to get into that. I got so much more to say, I have to say. So, what I wanted to touch on here, I guess, is the manifestation part. So, I was trying to talk about a little bit about my ticket, because yesterday's video I put out, I talked about how to do a scratch ticket, and that wasn't my intention. I was just using that as, like, an example, but it rings true, because, like, after I made that video yesterday, maybe it's because I put it out here on YouTube and I believe in it so much. Maybe it's because, you know, maybe someone saw it, people saw it, so it's real in their mind, and then it becomes real in my reality. I don't know. That's always a good way to manifest, though. I'm telling you right now. What you tell people and they believe, and their mind believes it, your mind believes it, it's fucking way more powerful. That's why putting public sigils work well. That's why McDonald's logos and shit work well. But anyways, but manifestation is different per person. But not necessarily in the technique and the things you do. I think everybody can do sigils. I think everybody can do the writing down on paper, but I think one of those is going to work better depending on the person's energy, their birth chart, their astrology chart, their makeup. Like, I have more of a negative vibe. I have more earth and water elements. That's negative. That's female, rather. Because for me, plus and minus, up and down, that's polarity, and side to side is male and female, gender, and those are two different things. I'm going to explain that a bit today using this. So I'm going to try to explain polarity, the law of polarity, the law of vibration, and the law of gender, and maybe even cause and effect a bit. But, you know, you might have to draw some of your own conclusions here, but I don't say it right out. And if you're not ready, you're not ready. But when you are ready, you come back to this video, you'll see it by chance, synchronicity, whatever. But first, I want to talk about something right before this, okay? Something fast. I know people get weird about witchcraft and magic and shit like that. So that's why, you know, like I said before, New Age, even just saying spirituality, meditation, you know, just things like that go over well. But understand that every negative connotation that's been put on witchcraft, saying, well, we worship devils or things like that, Lucifer, all things like that, that was created by the Catholic Church. And I got nothing against the Catholic Church per se, except for maybe some family members they may have burnt. But, you know, in a past life, I might have been a fucking priest burning a witch. So, who knows? But, point is, I don't have nothing against them, but they created that somewhere down the line. We didn't create that ourselves. Now, I do know some...
Picture credits. Seduction witchcraft has been controversial throughout history. The very mention of the word excites strong emotions. For some people it conjures up the rather folksy image of the storybook elderly witch with her pointy hat. broomstick, black cat, and crooked smile. For others, all witches are evil, devil-worshipping enemies of society, whose very existence is a danger to our young people. The popularity of witchcraft has never been greater, especially among young people, who are taking up the challenges of the craft in ever-increasing numbers. Yet the current image of witchcraft, despite its popularity and all the cozy images of the commercialized Halloween, is still not particularly positive. That, of course, should surprise no one. Throughout history, witches have been badly represented by different societies. Sometimes harmlessly, but more often with fatal results. Witchcraft. A secret history looks behind the scenes of this history, from Babylonian gods to King Solomon, from the Roman Empire to Puritan New England, to explain how and why witches got the reputation they have. Along the way, it will chart how they have had to fight for their survival and for their identity, and it will reveal the story of how one elderly man sparked a revival that has made witchcraft what it is today, one of the fastest growing religions in North America and the rest of the Western world. What is witchcraft? But just what do we mean by witchcraft or witch? This is not an easy question to answer for the simple reason that in the course of history different layers of meanings have been attached to the words. Indeed, the word witch has been loaded with so many negative meanings for so long it is often impossible for people to react to it in any other way than badly. 4. The words evil and witch go together like ham and eggs. Folk magic. Let us begin by looking at some of the alternative meanings of witchcraft. One is that it is simple sorcery. In other words, the use of magic in casting spells, healing, telling the future, or influencing the weather. These spells may be used for good purposes or for bad, depending on the person who casts them. This kind of sorcery, folk magic, or witchcraft has existed in just about all known societies at all times, though this book is concerned with the traditions that have helped shape witchcraft in Western culture. In English-speaking societies, such people have been known as cunning folk or wise women men. They have existed since time immemorial, and such people still exist today. For them, witchcraft is simply a craft, a use of magic for specific ends. Magic can be defined as using one's will to change consciousness and reality. Simple sorcery has no connections with Eliphas Levi's 1855 illustration of Baphomet, a pagan deity revived in the 19th century as a figure of occultism and satanism. Diabolical witchcraft. Another definition of witchcraft is the one that developed in the late Middle Ages and Renaissance, and which dominated culture for perhaps 250 years. Witchcraft is the worship of the devil. This definition arose out of Christian thinking and was part of the late medieval church's obsessions with heresy. The reasoning was quite simple. The world was divided between good and evil, God and the devil. Though God, of course, had the upper hand, the devil had helpers in the form of spirits called demons. So anyone who invoked spirits other than in the Christian context was naturally in league with demons and thus the devil. As people who performed magic, that is witches, often invoked spirits, this meant that witches were the devil's allies. As this idea developed, much of the late medieval world considered that witches entered a formal pact with the devil, had sex with him or his demons, and tried to oppose God's will. Therefore, they were the worst kind of heretics and had to be burned. This accounts for the large number of witch trials and executions in North America and particularly Europe from 1450 to 1700. A few of those burned may have been simple sorcerers. As in our first definition, most had no connection with magic at all. None actually worshipped the devil. The idea of diabolical witches was an invention of its time, but one that has survived among many conservative Christians, thanks in part to misleading translations of the Bible. Modern witchcraft. The third definition is that used by many modern witches. In this, witchcraft is a religion with a capital W. It is a mystery religion, which believes in one ultimate deity, but puts special emphasis on the female aspect of that deity in the form of the goddess, and it reveres gods from the old pagan religions. At the same time, witchcraft uses magic, which witches believe is part of the natural world around them and not something remote or supernatural, as part of their spiritual development and identity as witches. Incidentally, modern witches reject the question of satanic associations on the understandable grounds that Satan the devil is a Christian concept, and witches worship neither the Christian God nor its devil. Yet, to avoid the negative value still attached to witchcraft, many practitioners refer to it as Wicca and to themselves as Wiccans. Both words are revivals of the Old English term for witch. This, then, is the definition of witchcraft broadly adopted by A Secret History. though the word is also used in historical context to mean what people said it meant at that time. It should also be pointed out that, just as there is no evidence that witches worshipped the devil in the late Middle Ages, there is equally no evidence that witches worshipped the old pagan gods then, either. The modern religion of Wicca can thus be seen as a fusion of folk magic or sorcery with pagan worship, plus borrowings from ceremonial magic dating back to Egypt and ancient Judea. Ends with a close look at how this dramatic revival of witchcraft occurred and how witches have been able to emerge slowly from the shadows where they have been forced to hide. Witchcraft now appears to have a bright future. To understand how it has got there, we first need to consider its secret, and often dark, history. The ancient world of witchcraft. Most societies in the world have a tradition of witchcraft. Many societies also revered goddesses such as Ishtar and Isis, who were linked with magic and witchcraft. Meanwhile, the Hebrews developed the idea of an evil god or devil, which in turn came to be identified in Western culture with anyone who performed witchcraft. Witchcraft and religion, the use of magic, in which the force of a person's will harnesses natural forces to influence events or outcomes, is common to most cultures in the world. At its most basic, such magic is not part of a religion, but could be referred to as simple magic in which certain acts are carried out to defined effects. This might be sticking a pin in the image of someone to cause harm to that person, or having sex in a newly sown wheat field to ensure that the coming harvest is a good one. This form of folk magic is similar to that practiced by those so-called cunning folk or wise women who survived the persecutions of the European and North American witch crazes in the late Middle Ages and the early modern periods. These traditions lasted into and beyond the 20th century, although today, this folk magic is practiced by only a few. For these people, spells to mend a broken heart, cure warts or other ailments, or simply to bring good luck were not, and are not, the rituals of a religion. They were, as they saw it, simply harnessing the natural powers of the world around them.
Even if you don't know that, it doesn't matter. That's what's happening. But, I mean, I played Grant Morrison a long time ago, a few times. He's on stage where he talks about how to do sigil magic. And then he talks about how back in the day, well, different scientists have done different studies, but basically one of the ones that people don't know much about is a simple study that as we evolve, our brain evolves. Our brain today isn't the same as the people when they wrote the Bible. Well, maybe because it might have been written like 20 years ago. Who knows? But point is, it wasn't the same as, let's say 2,000 years ago. Whether it's 2012, like it is in Ethiopia right now, or it's 2020, and look that up if you don't believe me. But I heard that from Ralph Smart, and then I looked it up, and it's true. It's 2012 right now in Ethiopia. They don't use the Gregorian calendar, but anyways. Which puts a whole new light on this shit. You scare the whole world. Because in 2012, everybody thought the world was going to end, and then nothing happened. And then if everybody finds out that someone else, somewhere, another place on this earth, Ethiopia, which is a hell of a lot closer to where the Bible stories originate from. It's in that little sector where, from Egypt to, Jerusalem, but, can't think of, anyways. Or Sumeria, all those places are in the same area. But anyways, that's not what I'm trying to talk about, although it's probably important. But yeah, if people found out it was actually 2012 and our calendar is wrong, because, you can't fucking figure that shit out. You don't know when this fucking shit was changed. No one alive today was, there might be a few, but if there is, there's probably 5. But how many people were born or are alive in the 1900s that are alive today? We don't know anything that could have been changed or switched or anything on us. We don't know if the time could have been, let's just hike it up 5 years, 10 years or something. Anyways, I'm not saying that's what happened. I just like to point out how much we don't know. And everybody should take that on and not pretend like they know everything. But regardless, what I wanted to say real fast is, just in case people don't listen to my shit, which is fine, they are long and I ramble on. It takes me a while sometimes to get to a point, so I get it. Not always. Sometimes I think I do pretty good, but you don't see anything. It's just audio. But that's supposed to be for a specific type of person who can handle just audio. It's not about the person. It's not about the look. It's not about the you know, if I could do nice visual stuff and shit like that, I would, you know, but I have to spend the time and, you know, put it together. I know a little bit about computers and graphics, and, you know, well, at one point in high school anyways, I was pretty good at writing different HTML and code, basically, to make things happen, you know. I'd make this little stickman skateboarder. Basically, I would make enough things in Paint, like a cartoon sketch, you know, the same setting, the same spot, but just a guy moving along, and I put that together using computer code and all that. So I was pretty good at that one point, but it's not about that. It's about the fact that, like, I learned from Frater Xavier a lot mostly, and he doesn't show his face, and it's just audio when you watch his videos, you know what I mean? But he makes the rest of the stuff look pretty cool, and he shows pictures of shit he's talking about, which is very cool. The point is, I'm trying to appeal to a crowd like that who is at the point where it doesn't matter about the audio, it's about the information. They're stuck somewhere, or they need to know something that they didn't know, and they can find and see the difference between somebody just trying to get hits and put on a show and somebody who's generally trying to help people out. Because, you know, if I made money off this, that'd be sick. But if I can't, then I can't. Simple as that, basically. But anyways, back to what I want to talk about. Ritual magic consists of, you know, set an intention, okay? Whether you're doing a sigil, you're going to write it on a candle, whatever. But basically what you're doing with ritual magic in a very simplified, almost not even accurate, but, you know, I mean, it's accurate, but just a generalization of what you were doing is your intention is to manifest money, okay? Whether it's a lottery ticket win, maybe just a scratch ticket win. You want $100 on the scratch ticket, okay? So you write your statement as such, okay? You know, you either put on a candle, you put on a sigil, you meditate on it, whatever, and then you need to add action to that, right? Some kind of symbolic action that shows your subconscious mind that what you're doing is something you really want, because you can put emotion into it, you can put your visualizations, but there's always this third step called action, meaning you want a lottery ticket, or you want a scratch ticket to be a winner, you have to actually go there and get the scratch ticket. And then when you're doing that scratch ticket, if you banish away every time your thoughts go to, I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose, banish that away, and you say something like, I accept that I'm going to win. You know, don't go for gusto and say, accept I'm going to win $10,000 or whatever, because then your mind's going to probably stay on it. But the point is, every time you think about losing, don't give that energy. Banish that away. Say you're going to win. Maybe stop doing the ticket. Move away. And then come back to it when you can actually do the ticket without paying attention to the ticket. I know that sounds hard. That sounds fucked up. But every time I've done that, I've won. The one day I was scratching on the bingo ticket, the three things at the bottom, you have to match three to get $15, and I was playing with the baby, I was talking to her, wasn't even watching, I was like watching the TV, half playing with her. I scratched all three, and I did my ticket, and I didn't win, and I looked down at the bottom, and I won, and I had no idea, you know what I mean, my mind was out of it the whole time, but while I was scratching the top part of the bingo, I was thinking about, you know, trying to do what I was saying. But every time you banish something away and you accept something, you're thinking about it while you're doing it. Therefore, it's hard for it to manifest. And you can say, well, you just bought the ticket, this, that, and the other thing. Yes, but I'm telling you right now, I don't know. You can play those games and say that shit all you want. But as far as I'm concerned, if you can do your lottery ticket after you've set an intention to win and did a ritual some other day, maybe even earlier that day, generally, though, I do it a day after. I try to win it like an hour later, not so much, because I've done that before. Bought a ticket, set my intention to win, nothing. And then the next day, I fucking buy another one, and then boom, I win. So, yeah, especially on Jupiter day, Venus day is good, but, you know, I've had a lot of luck with Mars and the Sun, and, you know, almost every day of the week, really. Saturday was one of the days I never bought them, but I got a big win on Saturday, too, recently, so... That's not what I'm talking about, but it's the example I'm giving for how ritual magic works. Sorry, my dog's going ape shit. There she is over there barking. Look at her, crazy. Hey! That's my Mia. Mia, that's enough! Lay down! Sorry about that. Anyways, so if you were trying to manifest some money, you're going to set it and you're going to forget it. Okay, and then you're going to go do action. So the action is buying the ticket, basically. Going up to the store, buying the ticket. So that's your action. So what I'm trying to say is, whether you believe it or not, whether it's done on purpose or not, the fact that with everything going on, if people are staying at home, watching the news, waiting for the newest thing to happen, either for things to get better, hopefully, or waiting for things to get worse. But they're at home listening to the same shit over and over and over again. They're getting the same stats over and over again. How many people have died, how many people, whatever. Some people look into it and try to get a little more information about it, maybe to know something, maybe to post something, who knows. Point is, though, they're getting the bottom line shit every day over and over again. Well, what is that? Well, that's affirmations. Okay, that's repetition is the father of learning. So you're repeating it over and over and over in your head, basically. You're watching TV. You might be drinking coffee at the same time. You might be sitting there with your arms crossed, writing, doing something. Who knows? Maybe you're on your phone, going through the news feed on fucking Facebook as you're watching the news. You're getting a double dose. Point is, your conscious mind's out of the way. Everything's going into your subconscious. Okay? Not good. But you're basically setting the intention in your head. You're not doing it on purpose, but it doesn't matter. Your subconscious mind doesn't know that. It's going right into your subconscious mind. And, like I said, the drastic change that you had, or the fact that you used to go to work and everything was fine, to not being able to go to work, if that's the case for you, or having to go out, wear gloves and a mask. I mean, that's a drastic change. It shows your mind, whoa, something's different. And then when you come home, your mind's trying to figure out what's different. Well, then all it's getting is bad, danger, fucking killing people, dying, bad virus. So basically, that's basically like your statement of intent and your intention, and you're doing it in a hypnosis trance-like state. If you're sitting on the couch, just kind of zoned out, and even if you're not, maybe you're having a coffee, you're awake, but it doesn't mean you can't be in a different brainwave state if you're on your phone going through the news feed and doing something else. Anytime you're consciously doing one thing at a time. This is why multitasking is so goddamn hard. Because when you start doing one thing and you try to do two other things at the same time, your conscious mind's only focusing on one thing at a time. Now, if you've learned multitasking and it got into your subconscious where you can do three things at the same time, in the sense of, there's three things actively going that you have to be there when they finish, but in the meantime, all you have to do is kind of watch over them. You get that in your subconscious, and you can excel, and you can do that well, okay? But it's very hard to do that. But this is the point, okay? That's in your subconscious mind, and you're running off your subconscious mind at that point. You can hold a conversation, you could be doing God knows what, and it wouldn't matter because it's in your subconscious, it's going to play it out, and that's kind of the point. We're putting this bad news, into our subconscious mind to play out. And when it comes to the action we're doing, well, here's the action you're doing to make this thing even more legit. So the news is telling you the sky's falling. The news is telling you everything is bad. Everybody's going to die, whatever it's saying about this shit. And then you go out, and instead of, like me, not wearing a mask, making fun of it, and acting like everything's okay and saying I banished any thoughts or whatever, you're going out with a mask on and gloves on and telling your subconscious mind, see, what we just heard is real. Your conscious mind is impressing on your subconscious. You're not doing it on purpose, but it's still you doing it because they're controlling what you think about. They are telling you what to think, and then anyways, they are also telling you should wear gloves and a mask to stay safe. And, you're probably already safe. If you're going to get it, you're going to get it. If you're not, you're not. It's kind of one of those things in my eyes. But by showing your mind that, oh, look, there is something to worry about. Look, we can't go to work anymore. That was, worry number one. And then now we can't go outside. We can't be around people. There's all these things that are put into place to change your mind's routine, to show your subconscious mind that something drastic is happening. And then you hear the fucking affirmations all day of affirming that this shit is real and you can die from it. And look at how many people already died over and over again. This is why I say if you're trying to do magic, you should at least for a couple hours a day, every day, put on magical people on YouTube, wherever they are, talking about manifestations, talking about... what does Frederick Xavier call it? It's like, well, not a success story, but basically people's successes, people that have manifested things. Like I said, Frederick Xavier, his mailbag, some of his mailbags have those success stories basically in it. You're hearing it from multiple people through Frederick Xavier. Those are the greatest things you can do for your mind. If you listen to that every day, you're telling your subconscious mind every day that this is real, this will work. That's one of the ways I program my mind. With him, with Birch, with many other people telling me that magic's real. This is how they did it. This is how they did it. And then lo and behold, now if I wait 4 days for something, It's a long time. I'm not, and I know it sounds fucked up, but it's like, well, how come you don't have more money? How come this is blah, 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 blah? It's like, well, it's not like that. Anybody that thinks it's like, well, if you can manifest, why didn't you manifest this, this, this? It's not like that. I'm doing little things so I can keep proving to my mind that this is real, and gradually they keep getting bigger, so then when it comes time to do something big, I can do it. Understand that. It's like muscle. It's like practicing. It's like lifting weights. It's like anything. You have to lift the 5s to get to the 10s. You lift the 10s to get to the 20s. You lift the 20s to get to the 40s. You don't go for $1 million right off the hop, or a big fucking house, or the curing of cancer, and then get down on yourself because you couldn't do it. You gradually go up. You banish little fucking things. And like, anyways, but my point is that this is ritual magic, and you putting on gloves and a mask is a sign. Now, the other part of this is, okay, well then, if that's true, if we don't have anything to worry about, then why do people die and shit like that? Well, weak immune system still comes into effect here. It's the people that are dying from this. This has never been the change. Same thing when we had H1N1, same thing with Ebola, same thing with swine flu, all these things, okay? But here's the thing. Those things are real. They can affect people. But there's another aspect to this, and it's very complicated, but the egregore, the thought form of it, has power, and if you give it energy, it gets more energy. Now, if you think of cancer, since you were a kid, you've heard of cancer. You know it's real. It's got a lot of energy. If you're 33 or older or 20-something, it's had that many years of energy of taking people's lives and getting bigger and stronger to the point where you can't control it. Well, you can, I can. And this thing is brand new. You haven't heard of coronavirus up until today. Maybe you heard at the end of 2019. That's not that long. That's, if we're up to right now, let's say you heard it in November of last year, to right now, that's about 6 months. Not 6 years. Not 16 years. Understand that. So it hasn't been around. This is why you have to be locked in your house 24/7 getting programmed. Because to actually get this to work on a mass scale, people have to have it in their programming. Cancer's in people's programming. It's not working as fast, and people are actually starting to beat cancer now using magic in various other ways. So this is now, okay, well, let's amp this shit up. Let's use a small little virus and take people out. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying that's what it looks like. So be careful of that shit. Don't be one of the people at home getting programmed and getting a bad habit put in your mind that you can die from coronavirus. Anyways, that's all for today. Have a good one. You know who it is. I put out a video yesterday. Whatever, I like doing it. It's fun. Even if when I home and watch it, it's still fun. So it don't matter. I'm enjoying what I do. I like it. But yeah, it's funny. I bought 2 bingo tickets. Not a big win. $7 though. I won $7. I was gonna fucking. I had 2 words on the scratch word I was doing. I'm like, man, I should record myself doing it. And then I actually got the 3rd word after that. I'm like, oh, I totally should have. It's like more than a $3 win. And then I was gonna, record me scanning it. And it's $7. I'm like, fuck all that shit. I'm not gonna fucking try to prove that this shit works. If people believe it, they believe it. If they don't, they don't. Like I said before, I'm not gonna force it. I'm not gonna fucking tell people to do this. Like I said, I don't send my stuff anywhere. That's the only reason I like using Spreaker. Spreaker. It goes on to so many platforms. I'm sure there's a lot of podcasting apps that do that now. So, and YouTube being one of them is pretty cool. It just automatically uploads to there. So, it's there for who find it. I'm sure people will just gradually jump onto my shit, see it, and oh, this guy's fucking, did this shit too, and it works great. Because to me, when it comes to having the ability to manifest things, it's one of those things you gotta fine tweak for yourself. You are going to be led through various processes. You're going to be led to various information that you're going to be like, oh. Maybe this is a secret. For me, it took me fucking 6 months to a year before I started really applying anything. You know what I mean? It was armchair occultism. That's what it is. It's people that take in a bunch of information, never practice anything, but go out there and talk about it, pretend that they're occultists or magicians or witches or, just in the New Age movement or, from Wicca, whatever you are, whatever you decide to be. It doesn't matter. The point is, that happens a lot. And, I think most people go through a stage like that. Some people get stuck there. And, in all truth, I think some people actually make money off of it. If they do a good job making videos, people probably start listening to them. Maybe they got subscriptions, followers, and all that. And, maybe they never even did anything. Who knows? I don't know. That's not me. I make the videos. because the information I received from people from all these various spots worked. So I'm trying to pay that forward to other people, is why I'm making videos and episodes and podcasts. Well, that's one of many reasons. I always say this is the reason. One being, an outlet to fucking just let it out, because we're expressive beings. What goes in has to go out. And I learned probably 2 years ago now that whatever comes in has to go out, and no one's perfect. And even if you are love and light, or even if you are doing your best to remain in a good vibration to get your manifestations, or just to make the world a better place, whatever you choose, you're gonna have things that are gonna piss you off. It would be unnormal to not get pissed off. You cannot go around and not be pissed off. You're gonna not get angry, not get mad, not get sad. There's things that's gonna happen. You can't just lose your mother or father or sister or child or anything like that and not be affected by that. Even though, being a witch, you're supposed to celebrate life, not mourn it. That's part of our philosophy. They've moved on to a different plane. In my opinion, they have either moved on if they've done spiritual work, or they get reincarnated into the same cycle over and over again. But, that's to be determined, so who knows. But point is, we're supposed to celebrate life, but that shit's still kind of have to bug you, even though you're celebrating the life that they had, celebrating that they're gone to either maybe a better place, whatever your beliefs are. It's still sad that you're not going to see them anymore. It's one of those things. It's like, man, why did I spend more time with them? Shit like that, blah, 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 blah. Point of what I'm trying to say is everybody gets down, everybody gets sad, everybody gets upset, but you have to let that out. You got to find a healthy way to let that out where you're not going to explode. Because here's something that I've learned by watching my family, my sons, my daughters, my wife, and myself. When you take in negativity, and I'm using negativity not as in negative ions or positive ions, or I'm using it as a term of harmful stuff, even though I don't believe in negativity or positivity per se. But, the bad stuff that happened in life that you're polarized against, let's just say that, okay? Anything that you are, okay, this is something I like, so when the opposite happens, that's bad. Those things that piss you off over and over again, whether that's, less money on your paycheck, whether that's when you can't hang out with your friends, or some virus keeps you at home and you don't get to go anywhere, or whatever the case is, something that's against what you're polarized for. That's why we strive to be depolarized and be neutral. But you can't be neutral in all things, because then that sucks any fun that this life offers, because you can only meditate and be in blissful states, so often. You can't do it all fucking day long. There's no way. We're here in a physical realm for a fucking reason. We have to figure out how to integrate both the physical and the spiritual together. We're here also, I think, mainly to evolve the species, which is what I was supposed to talk about, but I'll just keep going where I'm going, and I'll make another one after if I have to. But we're here in the physical realm for a reason, so as much as people want to be spiritual and brag about their spirituality, which is awesome, and we're here to evolve the species, and we're here to be material, but bring it to another level, okay? Now, there's something to be said about the fact that, Georgia Guidestones says to keep the fucking earth in balance with nature. And I'm all for that. But when you hear things like about Dolores Cannon talking about how when she does past life regressions, she would always see people in their past lives and what they were in their past lives. And then towards the end of her career, she died in 2012, just for, I think it was June 1st, 2012, which is when one of my daughters was born, believe it or not. But anyways, well, not the year, but the date. Sorry, I forgot what I was saying there again. But she says that whenever the more past life, or whenever she was doing, because what she would do, her process was, when she would go in a person's past life to figure out what their karma was, to explain to them how to fix the problem they're having. Whatever that problem, whether it be as minimal as eating impulsion, or eating disorders, smoking, dependencies, habits, bad habits, to bigger things like, something happened and they're scarred for life, or, over fears, whatever the case was. She would go into the person's past life to help fix the problem, to get the knowledge that they needed. And And at the end, when she was writing for a convoluted series, what was happening was when she was doing these things, well, she couldn't do a past life regression because these people were from another planet, another place, whatever. And this is part of her progression because whoever she communed with, whoever she was the medium for, well, she was the hypnosis, but she was getting information, right? Whoever that came through, every single person in the same fucking voice, no matter where she was, from Canada to India to the States to Africa, wherever she was doing this shit, she would get the same voice, same information, same, way they spoke. And, they were telling them, well, they're not from Earth. This is the first time here. You know what I mean? So there's the old soul that's been here over and over and over again, and then there's the fucking one that came down to help, to be here just to raise the vibration, help out. In her words, basically what happened was the fucking, after the atom bomb dropped, after World War fucking II, with the arms race and all the bad shit going on in fucking Russia and fucking China and in Germany, well, they realized that mankind has something that they could blow the fucking world up with, yet they just finished 2 world wars and they might even be going for a third one. Like, no, we gotta help these fuckers out. So not only did a bunch of helping spirits come down to talk to come help us, whether it's channeling, whether it's just, doing like brainstorming and getting ideas from other places. That's my version of it. But they came to help, and a bunch of souls came to help. They heard the cry for help, and then, not long after that, it's fucking baby boomers. Well, what the fuck? You think that's a coincidence? That they have baby boomers, and then for the baby boomers, it just kept getting back, and now we're at 7 fucking billion? I mean, man, that's big. That's a lot of fucking people. We're almost at like 8 or 9. According to Jordan Peterson, we're going to top out at 9, but who knows? Point is, that's fucked up. That's something to know. There's something there. But anyways, back to what I was saying about the fucking expressing yourself. We're expressive beings, and shit has to move out of your body. You have to let the shit out of your body. If you're in a bad way, you have to let it out. One way or another, it's going to come out. And you want to be able to control how it comes out, and you'll be a lot better off if you can, rather than holding it in and then it just comes out. Because that's when bad things happen. And I'm talking about bad, like, a good case, and this is not just limited to this, but a good case scenario is a meltdown in Walmart or in public. A bad case is like you have so much and your baby's doing something and it's just too much and you're under so much stress and you're trying to hold it all in, and then all of a sudden you snap. And you don't mean to do anything, but because you snapped when the baby was in your arms, something bad may have happened. God forbid, I can't even go any further on that, but you know what I mean. So that's how bad things happen to good people. Point is, people let things in to the point where it's eating at them. It's got to come out one way or another. If you don't let that out in a way that you can control, how do you think it's going to come out? It's got to come out like that. It's going to come out in either aggression in your voice. You're going to start yelling at your kids and making them, their lives miserable, and then you create this fucking downward spiral where, well, your kids are pissed off now, so they affect the younger kids, and then they're pissed off, and maybe your kids go to their friend's house, and they affect their kids, and then they affect their parents, and then they go, well, when school was here, they could affect, you know what I mean? It just fucking expands exponentially, you know what I mean? It's not hard to realize that. If you affect one person, well, they affect one other person, they affect another person. This shit just goes and goes and goes. Likewise, the other way works too, which is why it's better to leave people in a good way. It's why it's better to fight fucking, bitterness, resentfulness, jealousy, anger, greed with love. With, I understand that you're going through something, and I was there before, so I won't make it worse by calling you a fucking idiot and telling you you're petty and you're immature and you're just being a little fucking baby and having a pity party, even though that might be fucking true. I mean, I see that about people all the fucking time. And it's not right, but I gotta let some of the shit out too sometimes, You gotta let things out, is what I'm saying. Because if you don't let things out, you get it all pent up and it's gonna come out in one way or another. Whether that's you taking it out on your spouse or kids or people that work either for you or work with you or you work for, risking your job, risking, pissing everybody off. And that's like a better case if it's just words. But words can also be swords too, baby. They can cut deep. But It can come out in violence. It can come out in aggression. And there's also other things to think about. If you're more magical, you need to think about thought forms and shit like that. So when you start experiencing these emotions, these feelings, these thoughts, you need to find a way to let it out. You need to grab a pen and a paper and write it. Try not to put any emotion into it, and then at the end of writing it, you can banish it or something like that, so you don't bring shit to life or whatever the case is. But understand that the way things work, when you start going down this path, when you start studying thought forms, servitors, egregores, it's fucking eye-opening, because I think Manny P. Hall said it. And that last thing I put in my second last episode rather, they're saying that maybe the thoughts we give energy to, talking about how the evil on the earth might not be coming from a specific group of person, or might not be from a demonic spirit, a devil, a Satan, anything like that. It might originate from us. We might have the thoughts and then give it power. And then when those thoughts keep affecting people, like I just said, you're having a bad day, you shit on your fucking kid, your kid shits on, maybe they have a step parent, and maybe the step parent, you shit on your kid, they go over to their dad's house, shits on them, he shits on his wife, maybe he hits his wife, she fucking gets mad at the kids, kids get fucking mad at the teacher freaks out. Point is, it shits on everything. And you're thinking that's just words? Those words just affect all these people? No, it's bigger than that. Something way bigger than that affecting these people over and over and over again. Point is, you can stop it with you. You don't have to let it go and control and hit everybody. You can stop it with you by taking care of that. Sometimes there's some dark, deep-seated shit you gotta deal with, and that's dark night of soul shit. That's shadow work. That's when things are tied to fears or suppressed emotion or suppressed childhood traumatic things, whatever the case is, then it's a little different. But if it's just like, I'm not happy with my life shit, I think my wife's cheating shit, I wish I had a girlfriend shit, I wish I had more money shit, I wish I had a house, I wish humanity was the way it was, and you're just dealing with these, well, fucking get a pen and paper out, write down all the ways you think it could be better, find a way to work through it, get it out in a way you can control, and that doesn't just come out of you that you can't control. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Got a lot to get through, so I'll just get to it. First off, I want to apologize to Dolores Cannon or anybody. I got her date of her birth wrong. I must have been looking at the date of what she did, because when I looked it up today, just to make sure, because I don't like making mistakes, even though I make a lot of mistakes, everybody does. But it was October 14th or 16th in 2014, so my mistake, it was in 2012. But I love that woman. She's taught me much. I want to talk about a few things today, and I want to tie in my whole lottery ticket thing that I talked about yesterday. How if you get your mind off of winning while you're doing the ticket, if you just get in kind of like either maybe neutral is probably the wrong word to use, like a state of mind where you're not really thinking about anything. It's kind of the way I explained whenever you're trying to learn something fast. If you're trying to, you're listening, testimonials, by the way, was the word I was looking for yesterday. I was talking about if best thing you can do for yourself is listening to magical testimonials. Mind and Magic channel has many in his mailbag, Frederick Xavier, where people write into him saying everything from the reject, banish, deny thing has changed their life, to they did his money candle that he has on there, to his honey jar, to the sigil he gave out, and an orange ball. There's so many testimonials of people saying I found an orange ball because he puts out the sigil, and he doesn't tell you what the sigil is for at the beginning. Well, then you find out later on if you keep going through because you can't stop, and you find out it's for an orange ball. And, I didn't even make the fucking sigil, but I watched those videos over and over and over again, and lo and behold, I had an orange fucking Nerf football fucking show up in my fucking yard. You know what I mean? How many people haven't wrote into him? And that has probably happened to probably, I don't know, thousands. Who knows? But the point is, those testimonials do wonders for your mind. And the point I give, saying if you want to get that shit right in your subconscious mind, well, get your hands busy, do something. You can do the whole crossing your arms and legs thing. That works great, because if you don't want to do too many things at once. But if you're doing the dishes, if you're sweeping up the floor, if you're, doing a chore, whatever. If you're outside fucking about to cut up fucking tree branches that you were trimming off your tree to get rid of the disease like I'm about to do, you do something that gets your conscious mind busy, preoccupied, and then your subconscious mind's wide open. Or sometimes it could be vice versa, but it kind of works the same, and I'll explain that in a bit, because if your subconscious mind's tied up because you're using it for regular programs or running habits and shit that you have programmed in you, then your conscious mind is the one getting the information. So depending on your state of mind, you could, anyways, I'll get into that later. But point is, I want to go over that, and the word was testimonials. How many testimonials he has. Watching those over and over again is great to get you to be able to manifest faster. So, what I want to talk about today is, like I said, law of polarity, probably cause and effect. Definitely law of gender, the 7 hermetic principles: polarity, gender, and vibration, and probably cause and effect. And it's going to be probably a version, and not the only way they work, but the way it works for me. But the way I want to tie this in is giving you the same example of the lottery ticket, and how to do it, and why what I said works, basically. And then I'm going to get into that law that I talk about, how in the spiritual realm, like attracts like, but here in the physical, it's more like opposites attract. But I want you to keep in mind, and I'll explain it better later, but opposites attract refer to gender, and like attracts like refers to polarity. So when you meet somebody, okay, now I'm not trying to diss, I'm not saying anything bad about any different sexual orientations, but just for a classic example, it's just an example, guys, okay? But but even within lesbians, I'm guessing there's one woman who's more like a male and one who's more like a female. Okay, there's many layers to this shit, right? Just like me and my wife, I'm the male, she's the female, but her astrology chart's got more positive. She's got her girl planets in positive aspects, and her guy planets in more positive places. And in my chart, I have my two females are in Gemini, the one positive one, but Gemini is ruled by Mercury, or Mercury likes to chill or whatever, and Mercury is like a hermaphrodite. So that's pretty fucking, the 2 girls in a hermaphroditic sign. So it's pretty, that's more leaning on the feminine side. But anyways, and then the rest of the guy planets are almost all in negative signs. So that's what I mean when I say I have more of a negative energy. Anyways, so I'm male and female, but then when it comes to our energy, I'm female and she's male. Or you can look at that as polarity, it doesn't matter. But both my polarity and my gender within my birth chart is more negative, and hers is more positive. So our opposites attract as in male and female, and also our energies. We attracted each other because we're both, and that's here in the mundane, it's really the physical. Now in magic, when you do your ritual, your conscious mind is the male mind. Your subconscious is the female mind. Your subconscious is the one that receives programming and runs it out. The woman receives the sperm and then takes care of the fucking pregnancy. The woman is nature. She selects. We have to go and impress her. We have to impress nature. We have to say, hey, I fucking think you're gorgeous. You're fucking, I'm so dumbfounded by your beauty. And if that works, then you got her. If that doesn't work, well, if you're an animal, you might have to put on a show, you might have to do some dominance, might have to beat up another fucking monkey or a lion or something, or a wolf, or whatever the case is. Point is, we have to impress the empress, right? The empress is the fucking, it's like probably the most pentacle, fucking pentagram, fucking earth spirit, earth fucking sign card in tarot. All right? Yes, I love tarot. I do tarot. I don't do it for people. I like the way the universe can speak through you through all those images. It's just more of a message then. But I mean, if you can get it through your mind, it's way more profound than through the cards. But the cards can tell you some pretty cool things too. But anyways, so there's a nice clever play on words there. Empress, you have to impress the empress. So you can impress your manifestation, your ideas onto her. But to get her to do that, you have to be in the same, like attracts like, basically. So if you're trying to impress a girl and she don't like the same shit you like, right? If you can't find some common denominators that you have, if you don't have some shit in common, well, if all you have is your magnetism, you might fuck, but it might not go further than that. If you want it to go further than that, if you have some shit in common, then you can build a foundation on that, because you still have to have some like attracts like. But those are in the thoughts, those are in the mind. That's mental, right? Because when you talk to a girl, I said, what do you like? Well, I like astrology, I like tarot, I like witchcraft. Oh, fuck, I'm a Christian and I don't believe in any of that shit. That's of the devil. Well, you guys, depending, on the guy and who's the girl, you might fuck, you might not fuck. And I only say that because, a Christian guy still might fuck a Satanist girl just because guys are horny pigs. But, you know, some girls are pretty horny too sometimes, and you gotta take what you can get, you know. Anyways, I'm happily married, I'm just saying. But, you know, point is, those people, you know, you're not going to bring your little Satanist girlfriend home to your Christian mom, or vice versa. You're not going to bring fucking, you know, Luciferian to a fucking Christian fucking priest dad, or not priest, I guess it'd be a preacher, but you know what I mean? So if you don't have thoughts in common, ideals in common, belief systems in common, then it's not going to work. But what are those? Well, those are spiritual things. Those are ideas. They don't actually exist. Yes, there's a Christian church. Yes, there's this. Yes, there's that. But what is that built on? Well, it's built on the idea that Jesus Christ, a long time ago, died for our sins and came back and resurrected. But it's an idea. It's a story. It's a myth. So it's in our mind. It's in our mind. It's spiritual. So that like attracts like. Whether you want to say, well, it's still physical, Corey. That's still fucking physical. Isn't it physical? Is it really in the physical? Because I'm pretty sure it's in your fucking head. And if you could remove that, then you can basically get along with everybody on the fucking planet. But what keeps us separated is not actually our... It's our beliefs. Okay, sometimes gender gets in the way of that and shit like that, but it's also caused by these beliefs that one gender opposes the other gender, or one other gender is trying to do something to the other gender, and that starts that shit. So the point is, like attracts like in spiritual beliefs, mental concepts. However you need to grasp that, because that's going to be important. But like attracts, opposites attract is in gender. It's two different polarities. So a lot of people like to say polarity, dualism, you know, right and left, it's all the same shit, but it's not. Because polarity is more like up and down, heaven and hell, Christian and the Satanist. Once again, those are ideas. There's no up, there's no down. They're basically the same. It's just telling you what level you're at. You're either at the high level or the low level. You're either above ground or you're below ground. But where are you? You're on planet Earth. Okay? You're either a hot temperature or cold temperature. But what is it? It's still fucking temperature. Okay? Is it rain or is it fucking snow? It's precipitation. It's fucking liquid. It's water. You know? Is it your middle finger? Is it your fucking thumb? Is it your pinky finger? No, it's your fucking hand. You know? It doesn't matter. It can always be broken down. But there's always 4 aspects to everything. And then, you know, you can say, okay, well, yeah, but then there's 5 for the pentagram. And yes, okay, spirit is different from air. But air is your thoughts, and then spirit's even higher than that. But that's more like divinity. It's more like astral. That's more like cosmic energies and shit like that to me. Because the air element is the element of air, which has the elemental of air, right? Just like the elementals of earth, which would be like earth spirits and shit like that, right? So the top one being spirit is more like a divine spirit, like above spirit, something bigger. But anyways, I'm definitely not going to have time to put everything in here. But at least if you can grasp those differences between polarities and genders, that's important. Because what you do, okay, when you're doing that ticket, okay, before you did your ticket, day before, 3 days before, 3 weeks before, 3 months before, things happen in threes more often until that changes. But when shit happens, it's in threes. Not always. Could be 3 hours too, though. You never know. It could be 3 times 3 hours. Who knows? I'm sure you could break it down by 3 eventually and figure it out. If you keep good notes, you'll find out. But anyways, so you consciously project. This is what ritual magic is. It's just the fact of consciously projecting something. You don't have to do it in a circle. You don't have to have an altar to do this at all. But watch out, because that's when things can happen. Because if you don't have a specific place where you do it often, over and over and over again, and this is where your mind gets used to, you developed a habit, a pattern within the pattern that you make your patterns out of, right? So, you know, anyways, I'll get into that a little bit later, more in depth. But anyways, so you go in a ritual circle, maybe you activate your sigil, maybe you do a candle, maybe you do a ritual, and you just simply, after you do your middle pillar and you do your fucking lesser banishing, you just say thank you to fucking Jupiter for bringing you all the fucking luck and cash on the instant scratchers. I really appreciate it. And you finish your fucking, you do your lesser banishing, and then you fucking Kabbalistic cross, and then you thank fucking the elements and the watchers, and then you fucking close your circle, you get out. 3 hours later, you go buy a ticket. You're scratching your ticket. All right, you get a couple thoughts like, oh, fuck, what if I win? Oh, shit, no, you're not going to win. You're not lucky. Oh, no, banish that thought and accept the thought that I'm a winner and I'm lucky and I always win on scratch tickets. I will the Humphrey Samoa be. And then, you know, your mind's still on it. So you walk away and you listen to fucking music. You fucking start talking to somebody. You go outside and you fucking dig a hole. I don't care. Get your mind off it and come back to it. And you might not be able to do it for another day. telling you though, it's worth it. Because that's what I did last night, and I won fucking $7. $7, okay? I bought 2 tickets, $6. It's not really much of a win. I'm only up $1. But what do you rather? Practical little hints that can help you out, that you can keep working. Because I'm not pretending I'm an adept. I'm pretending that I got the basics down, and I know enough to be able to make things happen. That I can make synchronicities happen, you know, at least 4 times a fucking week. And they're little. But the point is, if you have something, then you can always get it bigger. But if you're trying for these big things, getting all this information in, and to the point where like your ritual is super elaborate, but you're so worried about getting the details right, well, none of it's going to work. So what do you rather? Some practical little information that, you know, $7 gets you a fucking bag of milk and maybe a bag of chips if you eat that crap at the corner store. It's better than trying to go for the lottery and then being out, you know, $50 because you bought so many fucking tickets up your chances, and then not getting a fucking thing. And so that's what I'm offering here. I'm offering little stuff that you can work on to get bigger, because that's what I'm doing. That's how I do it. I know how to do magic. I know how to manifest things, but it's not necessarily me manifesting. It's using whatever we were given at birth that we all have. But everybody has it in a different way, and it's going to vary for you. But I can give you little tips and techniques that seem to be the same for everybody. And the 7 Hermetic Principles is the same for everybody. Now, how you interpret that is different. And that comes into play when it comes to the like attracts like. Because the way I use it is, and I'm going to have to make another video, but whatever you want, if it's money, if it's a partner, if it's a house, let's say, those are 3 options, okay? Your partner, you know, you associated that with love, with happiness, with joy. Like, if you get that, everything's going to be okay. You're going to be so happy. Your life is going to be complete, blah, 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 blah. You've given that a vibrational fucking frequency. You've given that like a resonance, whatever you want to call it, a hertz, whether that's 440, 432, whatever it is. You've given that some type of energy. You don't need to know the hertz of it technically, but you do need to know that you associate it with love, because then you're going to have to use that feeling and emotion to get it. Now, it doesn't have to be necessarily be that. Visualizing, having it, smelling it, touching it, seeing it, whatever, is going to help. But if you do a specific girl in mind, well, then it's going to be harder for you to get that specific girl. Or you might get that girl and she might not match you, like I just said, on the spiritual, mental belief system plane. She might just match your idea of what a pretty girl is, and then you get that pretty girl and it doesn't work. You'd rather cast for something that you get along with, like a girl that likes the same things you like, but allows you to have your own time, and you differ in the right kinds of ways, and, you know, where you lack, she makes up for, and where she lacks, you make up for. But that's where this comes into play, where this is important. All right, so for Magical Eyes Only Part 2. So that's where this, I'll take my glasses off. That's where this shit comes important. And that's where this shit's important. Take my glasses off just so you don't see that I'm lying or anything like that, you know. I think it's when the person's eyes go up to the left, it's a lie, and when it goes up to the right, it's true, or vice versa. Look it up. But that's one of the signs. And now, none of the signs of someone being deceiving is accurate. Plus, with the new technology, you can mirror this shit. I think this is on mirror right now, so I just went up to my right. So whatever side that was on there, you know, that's my right and that's my left, just so you can tell if I'm lying or I'm telling you the truth. And once again, my truth is different from your truth, but still, at least you know I'm not deceiving you. Anyways, okay, so like attracts like. Okay, so that's important to know, that the like attracts like in the spiritual mind it's not dealing with gender, it's dealing with the polarity of things, it's dealing with the mindset. So that woman that you want, you attached it to a love vibration, a love frequency. So when you do your ritual and you visualize that, and you make your candle and you think about that, whatever the case is, I go as far as during the day when you start thinking about it, because I was always told set it and forget it. Okay, and then when you think about it during the day, don't banish it away, because you don't want to accidentally banish what you're trying to manifest. But when you think about the girl, and you having that girl, and how great it's going to be, before your mind goes, oh, it's never going to happen, don't do that. Think about, this is the trick I use, think about anything that'll make you happy. Put on a song that might make you tear up. I tear up sometimes at guitar solos when I love music that much. Maybe it's because I can't play. No, but seriously, think of anything that makes you and super happy. Maybe there's a fucking movie you could queue up fucking real fast or whatever. Or there's a happy emotion. First time you got laid or had fun or had a friend or, you know, when something really great happened in your life. You don't have to cry, but at least feel some strong emotions. Doesn't matter if it's a visualization of the exact same emotion. People say you got to taste the money and all that. I'm not saying that doesn't work, because I'm sure that works bomb. But in my experience, you just have to match the vibration. You don't have to necessarily even match the, you don't have to have the exact vibration match in your head of what you're exactly doing. You just have to match the same feeling, and that gives you the same frequency, that gives you the same vibration. Therefore, if those are matched, you are on the same frequency, and this way your like attracts that like. You can pull that like now to you. So let's see if there's a better way I can conceptualize that, because not everybody gets things the same. But yeah, the love emotion that you attach. Now, this is all within your body. Someone might not want a partner. If a guy wants to be single, he's going to give a whole different emotion to being married and having kids. That's going to be a whole different emotion. So once again, this is why I say it's different for everybody, because it depends on the frequency you give it, okay? So a partner in marriage doesn't have the same frequency to everybody, okay? Someone like my mom, who was a Cancer, well, her sun sign is Cancer. Cancer is the mom, it's the home, it's the crab, you know, it's, you know, they're very emotional people. It's another water sign, like Pisces, you know, they're very emotional people, and, you know, when they become deceitful, or not deceitful, but whenever they try to make people feel bad, they use their emotions, you know. Anyways, but to my mom, wealth isn't money in millions. To her, wealth is a big, happy family, loving, enjoying it. You know, she would go broke every Christmas buying us fucking gifts and shit like that, because there's more, money is not as important as fucking, obviously you need money to survive, but money is not way more, family is way more important. You know what I mean? The Cancers around the world are probably having a hard fucking time right now not seeing their fucking families. So shout out to all the fucking Cancers out there having a hard time. You'll get fucking through it. And above all, you need to grasp this shit the most. Start using this. Teach your fucking kids this shit. If you want the world to change and get rid of this corona shit faster, well, children have way more power than us. Okay? And maybe not necessarily way more power, but they're more easily influenced. It's easier to get into a child's mind. The younger the child, the easier. Like my daughter, my baby, she's all subconscious mind. Everything we put in, she's just recording. After that, it's through like repetition, but it's still easier to get in there, and they're still recording. It's like half recording people's moods, and then this builds their programming. And then when they become, 18 to 20, depending on when they have to start having responsibility. Once again, it's not the same for everybody. But once they start having responsibility, then the programs they received as a kid, the recordings they got as a kid, build their programming, and that's what they go off of. So you want this shit to turn around fast? Fastest way is to get in the kids' minds. If every kid in the world doesn't think Corona's a big deal, then it's not a big deal. Why do you think the kids aren't getting affected? They're not fucking worried. They're not worried about this shit. They're not watching the news. They're not watching this shit. You know what I mean? They're not being affected. If that isn't proof that this shit isn't more about thoughts and in your head and creating your reality, then I don't know what is. But anyways, another good fucking thing to realize about all this shit is, actually, I'm not going to talk about Corona, fuck it. But I got a whole fucking bunch of good information I don't even think I'm going to release. But anyways, so back to what I'm talking about. So your love vibration that you have attached to your manifestation that you want, okay, like I said, it's not the same for everybody. So my mom, if she is asking for wealth and trying to get money, she's not going to get wealth. She might get another grandkid. Same with you. If you're asking for wealth, you might get a kid. It depends on the vibrational match you added to that. And you might say, well, no, I want money. Yeah, you consciously want money. But, if your mom was a Cancer and programmed you, well, maybe she programmed you to think family is way more important than money. And maybe money is of the devil. You need to remove that programming. So this works. What I'm telling you will work if you've gotten rid of money is the root of all evil and shit like that. Now, if you have programming in there stopping you from manifesting, then obviously this stuff may not work. This is why law of attraction shit doesn't work for everybody. And this is why it took me a while to even start manifesting, because I was born in a Christian fucking religion. I was in a Christian church, all that shit. And, I had to break all those programmings. That's why I had to have 3 years off to break that programming, because that shit wasn't easy. But it fucking went, and it went away pretty hard. But I'm so much better for it, and I wouldn't fucking change anything that's happened. But I'm telling you, hard times, man. Like, fucking, I wouldn't say divorce, but man, there was fucking talk of it between me and my wife sometimes, She's still not into this shit, but I had to change. I was stuck in that, trying to change her and trying to tell her all the new shit that I know. And she was probably like, well, what the fuck? You're the one that changed, not me. So why are you trying to make me change? And what, I'm not good anymore just because you fucking changed everything? But anyways, so my daughter's looking for me. She's outside the car. I'm trying to record something. But anyways, it's just cute. So anyways, back to, so when you match that like and that like in the thoughts, in the mind, in your field, in your magic circle, whether you just, maybe you're just doing visualization at home, maybe you don't do witchcraft or magic and you don't have a circle, but you do it on your couch, visualize, maybe you write it in a book and it comes into being. Trust me, that fucking works. I can give you lots of proof of that, and I already have on my show. But anyways, so that's your ritual. Then once you've done your ritual, this is where you got to set it. This is what set it and forget it means. You just set your intention. Your conscious mind is projection. Your conscious mind is projection, and your subconscious mind is reception. It's male, it's female. That's where the gender comes into play. So gender is important in the way of making babies, male and female. They get together, they make a baby. Your baby's your manifestation. Your male mind is your projection, your cock, your cum, whatever. And your subconscious mind is your female. It's your, it's the female, it's the vagina. You know, basically, it's the ovaries, it's the eggs, fallopian tubes, all that shit. So basically, you know, when you're doing your conscious projection, you have to consciously project it. And you can look at it as you're just trying to impress her to select you. You can look at it as you're having sex and you're trying to impregnate her. And then hopefully you did a good enough job impressing the subconscious. That's the whole reason for the candles. So, well, not the whole reason. The candles is elementals and shit like that. But still, it impresses the mind. Candles are said to, if you can keep a candle lit all day, every day, a white candle on your altar, you're going to keep the watchers there and you'll speed up your manifestation. That's what I was told. And when I did it, man, that was my first 10 grand. No, that was my second 10 grand. But it happened a lot faster than the first one. But anyways, point is, the tools, you know, the athame, the fucking wand, it's projection things. One receives, one pushes out, you know, one banishes, one accepts. You know, all these things are symbolic because your mind understands symbolism. The language of the subconscious is symbolism. It doesn't understand words. And if you do, you can use words. And now in our days, in our time, you can use words to manifest things. But while using words, you have to use the right words. You can't use negative words, okay? Because in math, two negatives make a positive, right? So if you're trying to get something into the negative mind and you're using negative speech, okay, it's not going to work, okay? Because whenever you have 5 minus 5, that Alright, just to elaborate a little bit, let's see if I can put this up here. Oh, until it stays up here and sees me. You know, everything is all good, so I put the camera shit. Oh my god, this is gonna work. Ah, kinda works. It's not bad. You can't see my hair, that's not really a big deal. I can lay back a little bit. Look at that, straight in that glasses holder. I don't need my glasses anyways. No, I don't like this. Fuck it. Okay, so, to elaborate just quickly on what I was saying, first of all, words have always been used to manifest things and all that. So the way I worded that was just not completely accurate. But before, probably depends on the person. But there's always been spells, always been chants, always been whatever. And you know, we read about stories about witches in other ages and whatever. Some of them could have been speaking a version of the English we're speaking today, but not exactly the same. The way to get words in your subconscious mind, the best way is through affirmations over and over and over, repetition, the father of learning. Like I said, how do you learn anything in school? Well, you do it over and over again. How do you learn a new job? Well, you have a training period by doing the same thing, learning from different people, and eventually it gets into your habitual habit mind, and your conscious impresses it upon that mind. And then you get learning it. Well, this is no different. Witchcraft is simply taking spirituality, taking the reins of your life instead of just saying, no, you can learn how to do jobs, but you can't learn how to become a millionaire if you're supposed to be poor. And God gets to choose that, not you. And witchcraft and magic says, that's not true. The same way you can learn a language is the same way you can learn how to change your reality. You just gotta do something over and over and over again to get it in there. That's the affirmation way. Now, the way magic, using words, writing it down, like I said, Jordan Peterson, he doesn't talk about magical things, but he's got a self-authoring program that he uses, and in every case, from every college or university he used it at, especially men, but even the women that used it, they would write down what they don't want to happen, what's the worst case scenario, what's the best case scenario, and all the men that were failing have improved, and every single one of them didn't leave school, get kicked out of school. All the rates went up, all their grades went up, and they almost all achieved one or all of the goals they set down there. They weren't super uber like I want the whole fucking world, but they set realistic goals, wrote it down, and those things came into fruition. And say what you want about it, but I know there's power in writing, because the first way I manifested my 10 grand was simply by writing everything down that I wanted in a book, and then I recorded it on a recorder, and I listened to shit over and over and over again, and then it ended up happening. But those are the main two things I did. This is before candles, this is before ritual, before all that. I would visualize, but I wasn't really good at the visualizing, or I wasn't really sure how I should visualize such things at that time. But anyways, the negative things I was saying at the end of the last video was in reference to, 5 minus negative 5 equals positive 10. Those two negatives cancel each other out. It's like if you were to put that into grammar instead of math. I don't not want that girl. Well, what does that mean? I don't want that girl to you in your conscious mind would mean you don't want her. I do not want that girl would mean you also don't want that girl. But I don't not want that girl. Those two negatives now bring it back to its original positive. They cancel each other out. Okay, but when you're using your subconscious mind, you got to really think about it, not in the math way, how that negative sentence is, because for some reason or another, and I've explained this in various ways, so I'm not going to really explain it in too much depth. I'll just tell you a little bit maybe how it works or whatever, but it's not the focus of this video. But when you're making something and you're saying, I don't want to be addicted to amphetamines or cocaine or opiates anymore, let's say was your statement of intent, or I don't want coronavirus. Well, all your mind is getting is I want coronavirus, because for some reason you can say harm-free, you can say banish, you can say reject, you can say deny even. But when it comes to none, don't, not, isn't, all these things, they're like negative action, meaning it's not an action at all. And for some reason, when it comes to words, it has to be all affirmative, positive, going to impress on the negative mind. So when you have a negative going into your negative mind, well then it goes back to it's positive, as how I would use it in that whole math equation sense. Trying to put a negative word in there into your negative mind is not going to work. And if you use the two negatives, it'll become the positive, but you might as well just say it the positive way anyways. So the point of all that is just to don't use that speech. But words, this is the whole point of sigils, having your statement of intent, taking all the consonants and discarding the vowels, because the vowels can be interchanged. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I think if you use the vowels, it would still work. It was just a rule might have been added in there for God knows what reason. But consonants are older than the vowels, and the vowels don't really, the vowels in the word make the pitch, the sound, the music's part of it. The consonants are just like grunts, and the vowels are the 7 notes of the music. D, E, F, G, A, B. You know what I mean? Or A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Those are the 7 notes, right? They get way more complicated than that with minors and majors and all these different fucking things that I am learning, because I've always been interested in piano. I played bass. I learned a bit of guitar, but I was never great at guitar or bass. However, piano and notes and flutes and xylophone, saxophone, for some reason, those kind of instruments have always been easily able to play song. Anyways, it's not about that. But the point is, their vowels are like your music notes. They're like, they're very similar. Anyways, I know we don't have 7, but it's kind of how they go into it. Also, the 7 planets, 7 days of the week, 7 deadly sins. There's 7 everywhere. 7's just Saturn somewhere. Well, anyways, but The point of that with a sigil was to not use the word. You turn the word into a symbol. So to get the words into your mind, you have to say it over and over again. And the reason why I think affirmations work is after a while, you give that affirmation a happiness, love vibration that goes along with the visualization in your head of you having it. By saying the affirmation so much, you have no choice but to start making a picture in your head, and then eventually you associate that picture with what you're saying. And just because the affirmation you're saying it so much that you're forcing your mind to make that picture over and over and over in your head, and then whenever you add the emotion to it, well, then this is how you bring it to light. It's basically doing magic, but it's just a simplified version. Instead of having to say all what I just said, you just say affirmations work. Say the same thing over and over again, and it will happen. But basically, magic is the fucking shortcut to that. It's simply visualizing what you want, putting emotion into it. But then there's all these other little tricks, like recording down what you want and putting it directly in your subconscious while you sleep. And then there's the candle magic, using the elements. You know, what's a candle? It's just wax. It's a wick. And you add fire to it, and that wax melts. It's a liquid, you know. There's also the air, which we add with the incense. But, you know, you can also look at the fucking candle. The wax melts, turns into a liquid. But, you know, you have a candle. It's not like it stays the same size. It eventually goes down. Well, when you burn any liquid, it evaporates. That's a gas that goes into the air. Gas is air. That's why the sun is associated to a gas and not fire. Why? Well, because what is it? Helium? I think it is. It's mostly helium. What's helium? It's a gas, like propane. Shit like that. Those are gases. Those are airs. You can't see them either, really. But we know they're there, just like the air I'm breathing right now. Do you see the air I'm breathing? You know, you see space between your eye and my ceiling or my forehead. You see space there, which is why you're able to see my fucking forehead. But you don't see what's there. Okay? So, anyways, that's another video on itself. That's some philosophy shit, too, when you get really down to it. But the point I'm trying to say is we were using dead languages. I learned Ruan. I learned a little bit of Hebrew. I learned a little bit of Aramaic. A bunch of these different dead languages. I learned their alphabets to be able to change my words into it too, because I thought I had to be that elaborate. But then I started getting manifestations before I ever put things into practice, and I realized I could use the English language. And I think that all has to do with the collective consciousness of the people evolving their consciousness and evolving how we can do magic. It's speeding up, because whereas before these things were put in books and if people got a hold of the books, well, then more people had the knowledge. Therefore, the collective consciousness started evolving, and this was possible. Then if you get rid of those books and not too many people know it, well, then the few can have whatever belief they want and invent, and if they all believe in it, well, then they can use that power and they can control the masses, as long as the masses don't like or fear. Because if they fear that power, like Christianity fears witchcraft because it's of the devil, well, they're putting fear energy into it, and energy is just energy. Does that mean because I practice my version of witchcraft and I wear a pentagram and I have a tree here as well on here? It's not really a Chiva root or anything like that, but still, it has significance to me. And, you know, especially with 5G, can't getting through trees, well, this protects me. But, you know, does that mean I'm evil? Because no, I'm just using all that energy people are putting into witchcraft. When I call myself a witch who practices witchcraft, or a ceremonial magician, I like using both because I get the double dose of energy that's been put into those, whether it's good or bad. I get it all. I can use it all. I know how to transform it and put it into practice. And maybe that's why my shit works out. Who knows? Point is, though, if they think about it, if there's a small group of people practicing witchcraft, but they tell everybody that witchcraft is bad, not to do it, so they can't change their life, and at the same time they're using their fear to propel their powers and give them energy. The more they teach kids about the devil and people that have powers or use it is from the devil, this, that, and the other thing, well, that makes them have more energy to use. And I say, so be it, use the fucking energy to put it there. But nowadays that's evolving. So the people that were using that, there's not as much people putting any more fear into it. People are actually using it to their own benefit, and it's changing. And they can still use that power to try to control us if they want. But the problem is, there's so much of us out here now that are claiming it, saying it's not evil and shit like that. So they don't have the right formula to use it anymore. And maybe they don't want to use the way we're using it. Maybe they don't know how. Maybe they're not able to. I don't know. But because we are evolving the collective consciousness now, we can use words. We can simply sometimes speak things into existence, but you have to do it the right way. And using negative languages like don't does not work. When I tell my baby don't hit, she doesn't know what I mean. All she hears is hit. Because don't is, like I said, a negative action. It's like an anti-action. And subconscious mind understands pictures and understands actions, you know. But whenever you say, I don't want something, it's like, what do you mean? How do you not want something? You know, you either want it or you're free from wanting it, you know. Like you either have the want for it or there's nothing to talk about, basically. Why would you talk about something you don't want? Because then you're just going to bring it into existence. Exactly. So, that's my point. Don't think about the shit you don't want. This way, you won't get it. But if you start thinking about it, then you'll get it. This plays into the whole path of least resistance thing in synchronicity. Whenever you set it and forget your magic, whatever you did, for going back to the example of the card, you set your intention that you're going to be lucky, you're going to win all these fucking cards. Well, you set it, and then you got to forget it. So when you're doing the card, it's very hard to forget it. Kind of like if you're trying to heal yourself from a disease, well, you got to set your intention that you're already healed in the present, and then whenever you're just chilling at home, you got to remember to not think about it. And if you do think about it, you give it a whole lot of love emotion and act as if you're already healed, and then once again you forget that too. You keep repressing that on your mind. You keep telling your subconscious mind that that's real throughout the day, you know, shit like that. The more grandiose, the more emotion you put in it, the more you can affect your subconscious mind. It's like thinking about something in a neutral state isn't going to do much for you, you know, but being in a neutral state is good for other things. And, you know, being in a kind of an unconscious habit, female gender state is how you receive your manifestation. And that's what the next video is going to hit on, more or less. What I mean by that, I'm going to record it right away. I'm going to put it on right after you see this one. So, you know, stay tuned for that because that'll be on. But just wanted to finish off that fucking thought real fast about that negative making a positive thing, and how this language is important. But so I was this is still supposed to be about the ticket and how to get winnings from that, but basically any kind of magic, how you set it and forget it. Path of least resistance means when you just don't, if you say like I used the example already, if you get a check in the mail, I'm going to get 10 grand in the mail. Well, that means you can't find 10 grand. That means you can't win 10 grand. That means you can't get 10 grand. You can't get 10 grand from someone who dies. So that's a good part of that. That's why you say free from harm or harm free. Not harm none, because you can harm other things. If say it did understand none, and your mind was none meant people, well then you're not going to harm people, but you can harm animals. So just to elaborate a second on the whole breathing thing. Breathing is super important to get into the right states of mind, and it's because it's one of those doorways into the unconscious. Because when you're consciously breathing on your own, if you do it correctly, your subconscious can take a break from doing that. You know what I mean? And you're consciously not thinking about anything else. So basically, when you're consciously breathing, you're in one of those unconscious states I'm talking about where you can receive stuff. So it's super important. So if you are taking 10 minutes, if you could take 10 minutes every hour to do it, you'd be a healthy motherfucker. I'm telling you that. But, you know, you take 10 minutes 3 times a day to just focus on breathing, do something like the 4-fold breath, which is like, give or take, 16, if you do 4-fold breaths, okay, in 1 minute, that's breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, breathing up for 4 seconds, holding that for 4 seconds. You do that 4 times, that's 1 minute, give or take 2 seconds, okay? And you're saying, what, you only breathe in and out for 4 times in 1 minute? Doesn't that seem a little, no, it's not that crazy. I can hold my breath for a fucking minute. And I'm a smoker, for God's sakes. That's how much healthier this smoker is than probably a lot of non-smokers. Now, a non-smoking spiritual person doing this path is going to be probably way more healthy than me, so I won't even get into that because I don't want to speak that into existence, but you know what I'm trying to get at. So anyways, breathing. But in all honesty, harm none doesn't work because none isn't NUN as in a nun. It's And maybe you're harming nuns, who knows? But no, I think it's more like you're gonna say free from harm or harm free. And you can say, well, isn't that the same? Isn't that like a negative action? No, you are stating that your intentions are free from harm. So your intention is free from harm. Because free is a word that it understands, the subconscious mind understands. Free means you're free from negativity, or maybe you're free from positivity. I don't know. Maybe you're free from disease. For some reason, that is a valid term, and it's probably because it's been in the language a lot longer than don't, won't, not, isn't, didn't, shit like that. But anyway, so when the path of least resistance has to come to you, it's going to take the fastest way to you. It's like electricity. Think about you at your altar using your conscious mind, your male mind. You're projecting that out, okay? You're throwing it out into the universe, or into your own little bubble universe of your body, your magnetic field, whatever. This is what you want. You're putting it, trying to get into your subconscious mind. Okay, and I won't talk about how it gets into your subconscious mind, but you manage to get it into your subconscious mind that this is what you want. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole programming aspect, but I'll just touch on it, and that's why this is for magical eyes only, because hopefully you already understand programming. Hopefully you already are depolarized enough to not judge or think of any of the things I'm saying as offensive or, rude, dickish, or anything like that, because I'm as neutral as I think I can be right now. And obviously, as I get more neutral and depolarized, I'll realize that I was pretty polarized now. Point is, though, I'm always working on becoming more depolarized in the sense of my thinking and not judging people, and not even the people I think are pricks. I'm trying not to judge them assholes, but sometimes you got to judge, and sometimes you got to realize, well, even though these assholes deserve to be judged, who are you to judge? You were an asshole at one time too. But anyways, you project your fucking intention out into the universe that you want to win on every lottery ticket, every scratch ticket, bingo, keno, fucking crossword, fucking whatever you like to play. Scrabble, fuck, I can't even think of them. But you put that out in the universe, okay? Now you want that to return all going into your subconscious mind, and then in your subconscious mind, it has to play out through your unconscious, and that's assuming you have the right programming. For some reason, you've been programmed that gambling is bad, that getting lots of money or winnings or money period is the root of all evil. Then this shit's not going to happen. Your subconscious mind all the time, but your subconscious mind can sabotage it. Your conscious mind could also block you, and that's what I'm going to talk about more than anything, than the conscious mind blocking you. Mind has to have the right programs to run what you put in. It's like trying to put a Windows fucking application on Mac software. If you don't have the right thing, right conversion tool, or if it's not compatible, you can't work through it. So that's one way to look at it from that point of view. It'd be like trying to play soccer with a fucking hockey stick. You're not going to very fucking far, right? You need fucking cleats in your feet to fucking kick the ball and a bigger net than a fucking little hockey net, right? Because I'm telling you right now, you try to, even if you can manage to hit the fucking soccer ball with the fucking stick, when you're trying to get it in a hockey net with a goalie in front, well, that goalie is pretty much the size of the fucking net, so it's also going to be very hard. Not impossible, but very hard. So you're working against the current there. You want to go to a certain point. Another video, another time. But so that you get it in your mind, and you get it in your subconscious, and you have all the right programming. It has to play out. Okay, well, your conscious mind has to get the fuck out of the way, because your conscious mind, if it's doing something, okay, if it's thinking about what you want, if you're trying to think of a word and you can't, but it's in your subconscious mind, if you're trying to find remember the last place you left your keys and you can't, well, the minute you stop looking for your keys, the minute you stop trying to find that word or that movie, the minute you stop consciously breathing, your subconscious mind takes over, right? That's why breathing is uber important. I'll get into more of that in a little bit. But so if you want your manifestation to happen, you have to get it out of your subconscious mind as far away as possible from thinking about it. And that's why I say every time you think about it, add emotion to it, because then you're giving it some more electricity to get into your subconscious mind, and you're not banishing it away, or like you think about it like, fuck, it's probably never going to happen. It's like, well, luckily the never, it might be a negative word and it's not going to work, and hopefully you didn't put negative emotion into it, because the never and the negative speech won't have an effect, so you're okay there. But if you went to your altar and projected what you wanted with love and gratitude, and then now you just brought it back again to your conscious mind, and now you're trying to put in your subconscious with fear and worry and, not thinking it's not going to happen, basically. You're not going to be happy about it not happening. You're not going to be like, oh, I'm so glad it didn't happen. You know what I mean? Though that would work, because the didn't is not going to compute, and you use the right emotion. So it'll come through. But that's not what you do. What you do is you think about it in a sad fucking state. And now you're using the opposite one. So more likely what you're doing is, if however you want to look at it, as either you're pulling it to yourself before, and then now with that negativity you just pushed it away, because you're using a different polarity. You're using a different polarity of energy. I don't care which one you want. You have to figure that out for yourself. I already went over this in depth. I'm not going to do it because it's like 3 hours all on its own. Seriously. But one's push, one's pull. One's waxing, one's waning. One's sunrise, one's sunset. You got to figure out what that is for you. And even if you don't want to, that's fine. But understand that the love and the fear emotions are two different versions. One's projection, one's receptive kind of thing in the gender sense of it. One you're pushing, one you're pulling, and you can use both to your benefit, but you can also use them both to your detriment. So if you were pulling that to you using love, let's say that's how it works for you. I think pull is more negative and push is more positive, but that's not. That's for the practitioner to figure out for himself. So if you're pulling that to you, and then all of a sudden you think about it, and you give it the opposite electricity. You give it, instead of magnetism, you give it, I forget what the fucking word I'm trying to find, but you're giving it the opposite electrical charge to it. Well, it's going to push it away. So that's why that can sabotage you there. So don't do that. So when you think about it, give it a positive fucking charge, a whole bunch of loving gratitude feelings, unless you're banishing something away and you're using fear, negative, anger, emotion. Well, then you have to do that again when you're conscious, and you can have just as much success. In all honesty, I think that's probably the best way to do that shit. That's the best use of that polarity, that negativity. But that's a video for another time. But because you can banish, I'm not saying to treat people at Walmart who piss you off with anger or anything like that. I'm saying in a magical setting, like attracts like. So the bad shit that you gave a bad frequency, vibration to, you should almost use the same emotions to banish that shit away, because it's like attracts like. And then in the mundane, anyways, that's what I'm about to hit anyway. So assuming you did everything right, every time you thought about it, you're doing your lottery ticket, you thought about losing for a second, you banished the thought, and then you accepted it with this love and gratitude, and then you go, and for an hour you get your mind off it, you go back to your ticket, and you win that money, okay? Like I said, if you end up in your statement of intent saying that you are only going to get it either in the mail or direct deposit, or because someone leaves it to you or someone gives it to you, well, then you're stopping all the other ways to get to you. But there's this thing that is said that after you do ritual magic, even meditation sometimes, though, you go outside and ground. Okay, I think more along the lines of ritual magic. But anytime you do anything too spiritual, you should be grounding, earthing after, any kind of version, at least in your head. But
you know, at the very least, you should be, you know, growing roots and getting rid of your energy through the earth, and, you know, putting your mind on the grass outside. But if you can actually go outside in the grass, do it. Now, what does this do for you? Well, what does putting your feet on the ground do? Well, it's negative ions. Right now, it's raining right here. I don't know if you can see that. It's fucking raining. Well, right now, my earth that is dead from winter is getting a bunch of negative ions right now from the water coming down. That's electricity. All right, running water is electricity. Hydro water, the waterfall. That's, you know, Earth gives you the same negative ions, but water hitting Earth gives you even more negative ions. Okay, having a little fountain in your house is a negative ion generator. Now you can buy a negative ion generator from anywhere from like $50 to $300. Good, healthy for you. But running water, like your shower, anything like that, that's negative ions. It's good for you. So, anyways, going outside, putting your feet on the earth, especially on a day today with water there, woo! It's like adding, you know, electricity to water. It'll kill you faster, right? That's positive and negative, but still, well, that's probably why it kills you. But point is, negative ions, use them every way you can. If you go outside in the rain, you can handle it, and it's nice, fucking do it, man. You're gonna feel like $1,000,000 if you can get past that cold feeling, that shock. But anyways, negative ions, even out your body. For electricity to hit you, what is the lightning trying to do? It's trying to find its quickest way to the ground, right? Path of least resistance. The lightning's trying to find the quickest way. So you projected your fucking, what you want, up. And that lightning of manifestation is trying to find its way to you. Go outside and ground and get hit by your own fucking lightning. That's what I'm telling you to do. You're going outside, you're grounding, you're getting a bunch of negative ions. You're putting yourself in the receptive state. Gender, what is the earth? She is female. Just like water is female, right? These are female. What mindset did I say you have to get in after? You are in the conscious mind projecting onto your subconscious. Well, now you have to be in the unconscious gender state. I'm not saying you have to go in a trance-like state or anything like that. I'm saying use the earth as a way to get you in a receptive mind. So you're able to receive your manifestation, and you will speed it up. It will happen faster. The more you can forget about it and go and put your feet on the earth and be in a loving, receiving, neutral state even, you'll get your thing faster. But if you're consciously thinking about it, it can't come to you. Because it's one last thing for the subconscious to do if you're consciously thinking about it. Your subconscious has got enough fucking work to do. It's got to keep your body temperature at a certain thing. It's got to pump the blood to your body. If you're a mouth breather, your organs are already not getting enough oxygen. So a little bit of oxygen your lungs are getting in because you're not breathing deep enough or for the right amount, and you're not getting rid of enough carbon dioxide out of all your organs, so they're already all stressed. As long as you probably feel stressed for no reason, well, it's because your body's stressed because you're not fucking breathing right. But anyways, a little bit of oxygen your lungs does have, it has to have enough for itself to keep breathing, and then you take it over consciously and you don't do it, right? For fuck's sakes. And it's better off doing it by itself. Trust me. At least then you're at least breathing in through your nose and then probably breathing out through your mouth. But you really got to get into the habit of training your body to only breathe through your nose, so that's all you do. But anyways, so if you go outside, you put your feet on the grass, and you're in that negative state, it's the best thing you can do. When you're consciously thinking about your what you just did, your subconscious is not going to work on it. It's got enough to do. It's got to give a little bit of oxygen, save half of it for its lungs to work properly, the other half to spread out throughout your whole body. And this is why your body doesn't produce enough cells to make the right organs to keep it going. So you need to add electrolytes to your fucking water, high alkaline foods as well, high alkaline water. That's what electrolytes are. The more negative your water is, the more positivity it is for your body, basically. The more electricity you have for your body to run properly. And you also need air in there. And you need to get rid of carbon dioxide out of your body. But anyways, this is a very important thing, and I'll probably get into it in my next video. But if you're consciously thinking about something, then you can't, your subconscious will not work on it. Like I said, it's got enough to do. And this is the nature of the human body, okay? Magic, witchcraft, the like, is understanding how we work. It's getting probably just the tip of the iceberg, but at least that much is more knowledge than anybody else has who believes in Christian and one God and everything else like that. The knowledge that we know is that we can put stuff in our subconscious mind, and if we can forget it, get into our conscious state, be receiving, be grateful, use polarity and the surviving hermetic principles, then we can get this to play out through our body unconsciously. Because everything plays out unconsciously. You don't have to think about the words you learned a long time ago. They're just there and you can use them. When you want to use a word, you use the word. But your subconscious is the one that gets it ready for you to use. And, anyways, you don't have to learn how to walk. You don't have to relearn how to go to sleep, breathe, all this shit. Wave your hands around. You wave your hand around, but you don't know how it's happening. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what your body has to do to engage that muscle and to move that fucking limb up and all that other shit. You have no idea what that takes to do. You don't need to know. You just need to trust, believe, and know your subconscious mind can and will do all that for you. So what you need to know is that how to put things in your subconscious. That's what you need to know how to do. And then you need to know how to get into the female receiving gender state to receive your manifestation. And that means you're putting in a habit that you want to happen. You want the habit of getting money, winning money off of every ticket. You want that to play out in your life. So you have to be in that unconscious state for it to play out, is what I'm trying to say. Because you can't consciously be in the unconscious state. Can't happen. Impossible. So just to elaborate a second on the whole breathing thing. Breathing is super important to get into the right states of mind. And it's because it's one of those doorways into the unconscious. Because when you're consciously breathing on your own, if you do it correctly, your subconscious can take a break from doing that. You know what I mean? And you're consciously not thinking about anything else. So basically, when you're consciously breathing, you're in one of those unconscious states I'm talking about where you can receive stuff. So it's super important. So if you are taking 10 minutes, if you could take 10 minutes every hour to do it, you'd be a healthy motherfucker. I'm telling you that. But, you take 10 minutes 3 times a day to just focus on breathing, do something like the fourfold breath, which is like, give or take, 16, if you do fourfold breaths, okay, in 1 minute, that's breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, breathing up for 4 seconds, holding that for 4 seconds. You do that 4 times, that's 1 minute, give or take, 2 seconds, okay? And you're saying, what? You only breathe in and out for 4 times in 1 minute? Doesn't that seem a little? No, it's not that crazy. I can hold my breath for a fucking minute. And I'm a smoker, for God's sakes. That's how much healthier this smoker is than probably a lot of non-smokers. Now, a non-smoking spiritual person doing this path is going to be probably way more healthy than me, so I won't even get into that because I don't want to speak that into existence, but you know what I'm trying to get at. So anyways, breathing. Why breathing is so healthy? Well, you're doing what your subconscious is trying to do for you, and you're giving it the option to do other things in your body. So if you're breathing correctly, taking enough oxygen in, and removing enough carbon dioxide, and that's what you're doing when you're holding your breath with no breath in. You're removing carbon dioxide by breathing in so much. The amount of oxygen you breathe in is kind of the amount of carbon dioxide you can get out. And then when you hold that breath, or no oxygen, no carbon dioxide, that's so important, so healthy. I'm not even going to get into it, but it's unbelievable. But that's harder to do. And normally the things that are harder have the most benefit, do they not? It's easier to hold your breath with breath in there than it is to hold your breath with no breath in there. If you don't believe me, try it. But if you think about it, now, if you're breathing, your subconscious doesn't have to do the breathing and then the distributing of the oxygen. It can focus on just the oxygen. So if you're breathing right, taking in the right amount of oxygen and removing the right amount of CO2, then it has one less thing to do. So it has more energy to put into your manifestations, your habits, everything you're trying to banish, and everything you're trying to pull to you, but healing your fucking body. It's like, fuck, I don't have to worry about breathing for a little bit. Awesome. Well, then he's giving me a break, so let's fucking heal this guy. He's doing us a favor. Your body wants you to win. Your body wants you to heal. It's you that is stopping it. It's you that's getting in the way. It's you that thinks it knows everything and is fucking it up. And then you're reaffirming these things over and over and over again, telling your body, your body's either going to say, okay, he must know best. He's running the show. But really, it's running the show, and you're fucking it up. And you're going to keep breathing for, or it's probably going to, it's either that or it's saying, you know what, fuck them. Just give us enough breath anyways. Let's just die so we can reincarnate in somebody else that hopefully knows this shit better than this dumbass. One or the other. But anyways, but that's why there's healing in breathing. That's why breathing is one of the gateways to the unconscious. You know, you add that with different postures and different visualizations, and you're in bliss. You're in bliss, and you're healing your body at the same time, and you're in that receiving state. You know, because you're receiving healing. You're receiving messages from your subconscious. You're receiving your manifestation. So get in the habit of doing that. And not only that, you're gonna create a habit. It's like an affirmation that you don't have to do anything with. All you have to do is practice this breathing technique as much as you possibly can in a day for 21 days, and your body will start doing it by yourself. You just realize you're breathing through your nose, and it's so healthy for you, so great for you. But that's why breathing is so important, and that's why healing comes from it. Well, it's one of the reasons, because your subconscious can focus on other things. But it's just proof yet again of how, if you can get into these receiving states, if you give your subconscious one less thing to do, like whenever you're not thinking about your manifestation, unfortunately, you're giving it an extra thing to do because you just projected something and you're trying to get in your subconscious. Like, fuck, we already have all this other shit to do. Well, that's why it's good to banish and invoke something, because you're not giving it something extra. You know, I think money is the root of all evil, but I want lots of money. It's like, well, what the fuck? This doesn't make sense. I already have this one, and now he wants this one in here, but this one's been in here longer, so no, we're not going to do this one. But if you banish that one and you put this one in, and you know, you do that over and over again, it's like, well, you know, he wants this, but we already have this, but he's saying he wants this gone, so he's not giving us extra work, so let's give it to him. You're more likely to get that, right? If you ask somebody to do you a favor, but they're already doing you 2 favors, are they going to do it for you? But if you say, hey, can you do me this favor? And, you know, I'll do one or both of those favors for you. You know, well, it's going to do it for you. So you banish one thing, and then you focus on your breathing. So you're doing 2 favors for your subconscious. It's going to give you your manifestation. And whether you think it's crazy what I'm saying or not, if you can get this in your head, it'll be real. That's the secret. Whatever we get in our subconscious mind is what plays out. If we can get programming in our subconscious mind that we want, it'll play out. That's why this is so dangerous, this knowledge. That's why we're all locked up in having fake or real virus pandemic. Okay? I don't know if it's real, I don't know if it's fake. All I can know is what everybody else knows. But I do understand occult and other shit, and what I see is not right. Yesterday was Easter, so maybe it's fitting to talk about Jesus. I used to be a practicing Christian. I was in a Christian school and all that. I am no longer one. I am one still on paper because I got married, 6, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. My kids go to Catholic school because I believe it's important to believe in God and have faith in something that you can't see, so that when the time comes to believe in many gods, like I do, it's not a hard transition, because you already believed in one that did all these things. But then when you can break it down and focus on one little thing at a time, you know, anyways. But what was Jesus? Well, let's start off with the beginning. 3 magi, 3 wise men, and then eventually turned into 3 kings, because translations, which is proof in the whole banishing of witchcraft on its own, but those guys visited Jesus, gave him frankincense, myrrh, and gold, and maybe something else. Like frankincense, really? It's like the best, it's the only thing you can burn that gives you negative ions, that heals. You know, frankincense, yeah, get some. It's fucking awesome. It works tremendously amazing. And, yeah, you won't regret it. I have the oil, I have the I have incense sticks. I have the resin? Resin, yeah, little crystal ball things of it. It was crystal ball. Anyways, they end up burning, they get black, and they turn to like a little salt. And yeah, I fuck around with that all the time. I love it. I'll put the oil on the fucking resin, and it's probably something I shouldn't do, but the oil I have is flammable, so I don't know if that's good or not. Where I bought it from, it's kind of an iffy place. The resin, though, where I got it from, is definitely 100% legit. But I don't know if it's supposed to be flammable or not. I've never had I forget the name of the fucking tree frankincense comes from. It's from the sap of a tree, obviously. But anyways,
So Jesus, that was the first sign, right? The three kings, the stars in the sky, and Orion's belt. Yeah. It's not three kings, three magicians, or whatever magicians. Well, I'm a practicing magi, and hoping to be one day a very wise man. So these guys visited Jesus first, right off the fucking hop. And Jesus performed miracles, and he fucking fed his fucking crew, his disciples, his followers, the apostles, whatever one you want to call them. All these guys stopped working, and they weren't poor. They always got fed. They had wine to drink. They had a good time. They went around city to city with Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, they were all right. Jesus was manifesting the reality for them, and they were probably doing it too. But he was like the tool they used by believing in him or whatever. Once again, this is a story. So is Jesus a real person, or did somebody make this story? Well, either way, I think we can agree on this. This story was probably written at least a long time ago. And a long time ago, the corpus callosum in the human brain wasn't there, or depending on the time frame, the brain evolves. Like everything else, it's evolving. It's always growing new parts. It's always getting bigger. We're always, breaking it down even more. But either the writer who made the story, whenever the corpus callosum connects to your left hemisphere to your right hemisphere, and it makes the cross communication happen. And whenever people heard the voice of God back then, or when they heard their subconscious talking to their conscious mind, when they could get in that receiving state, they thought it was God talking to them, because all they had was the Hebrew book, or if they went and asked the witch would tell them what it really was. But no, those people were of the devil. But you look at the Bible, and even in the movies about Jesus, when he heals the blind man, the high priest blame him, the high Jewish priest blame him, or say this is fucking magic from the devil. Basically, his talents are from the devil. This is the gifts of the devil. He's practicing whatever. And the blind man says, I don't know if it was from the devil or if it was from the Lord. All I know is I was blind, now I can see. I need to meet this man. He runs up to Jesus, and then they change the story to, he was never blind. He was never blind, And then he gets kicked out of there, called a blasphemer and all that. So even Jesus was accused of doing witchcraft. Yet, he is the symbol of Christianity now. Well, what symbol is he? Because I got him on a cross. It's not on my wall anymore, but it's like in a fucking drawer somewhere, because I don't want a dead man on a cross in my fucking house to tell me this is what happens to practicing magicians and witches. And you can say, well, that's a bit of a stretch. Oh yeah? Well, what happened from 1350 to 1700? It was like 250 years of fucking witch trials and murder. Is that the sign? Is that what they want us to know? Because then they just preach that Jesus was the only one we accept, and anybody else is of the devil. So they told my grandma. Well, technically the priest said, who are you to play God, to my grandma? But her mom said, priest before told her that it was, the talents of the devil, that there's no other Jesus. When Jesus comes back, it's when the world is done. So it's basically saying, nobody can be a magician. If they're claiming they're a magician, they're of the devil. They take it too far and start getting people to follow them, we gotta kill them, because they're going to make too many fucking waves. Well, that happened in like the Celts, with the Druids, over and over and over and over again. And what's going on now? Well, witchcraft, magic, New Age, Wicca, spirituality in general is, actively being suppressed. But more and more people are getting into it. More and more people are learning it. More and more people are changing their lives. So maybe there is a little group of guys that were practicing something and were controlling the world.
But because of media, or not media, but because of internet, us sharing information, us learning, as Robert Space, Age of Aquarius being the time of us being able to use our minds to create our reality, as us finally realizing that that's not that that's now finally possible, just now that we're realizing it. Now it's deep in the collective consciousness, like I said earlier in another video or whatever, that whatever's in the collective consciousness is now a possibility that we can do. Now, certain people can make their own possibilities by doing their own, getting their own belief system to work. But when the collective consciousness gets to a certain point, then things get easier for everybody as well. It kind of evolves us. This is the point. We're here to evolve. How do we evolve? We get everybody basically on the same page. Whereas as weak as we're as strong as our weakest member, but we're only as weak as our strongest member, or only as strong as our weakest member, something like that. I don't know. Anyways, point is, 5G. First of all, I don't know. I think it's going to weaken your immune system and probably make you get coronavirus and shit like that, obviously. And I'm not saying the same sentence, so I'm trying not to say it again. But I don't think it's going to benefit us in any technical. Obviously, their benefits that they're going to get is going to be way better than ours, because somehow they're going to have to monitor this shit. They're not. If we can share information faster, there's got to be something bad about it, huge about it, because this is a problem for the establishment of us sharing, because they have to create some kind of pandemic, make something really bad for us to waste our power on, instead of dethroning them. You know what I mean? Instead of us focusing on how to get them out of power, how to create new Earth, now we're trying to use our magic, the ones that aren't, the ones that are maybe magical people that are really good magicians that are probably worried about coronavirus because maybe they've seen people die from it or whatever, then, they're probably trying to banish coronavirus instead of banishing our old system, our old ways. It's just a way to divide us again. It's just a way to get whoever was starting to get in a new age to stop, basically. It's just keep us at home, and it's not good. None of it's good. But yeah, I think that's going to be enough for today, but I got a whole lot more. Keep checking in on this for Magical Eyes Only shit. I'm going to keep putting out videos about this. The next one I'm going to make is going to really hit on polarity, vibration, cause and effect, and gender. Like, really, really clean cut. This is what you do, and this is how it works. But in all honesty, harm none doesn't work, because none isn't N-U-N as in a nun. It's, and maybe you're harming nuns, who knows. But no, I think it's more like you're going to say free from harm or harm free. And you can say, well, isn't that the same? Isn't that like a negative action? No, you are stating that your intentions are free from harm. So your intention...
And Satanism. Diabolical witchcraft. Another definition of witchcraft is the one that developed in the late Middle Ages and Renaissance, and which dominated culture for perhaps 250 years. Witchcraft is the worship of the devil. This definition arose out of Christian thinking and was part of the late medieval church's obsessions with heresy. The reasoning was quite simple. The world was divided between good and evil, God and the devil. Though God, of course, had the upper hand, the devil had helpers in the form of spirits called demons. So anyone who invoked spirits other than in the Christian context was naturally in league with demons and thus the devil. As people who performed magic, that is witches, often invoked spirits, this meant that witches were the devil's allies. As this idea developed, much of the late medieval world considered that witches entered a formal pact with the devil, had sex with him or his demons, and tried to oppose God's will. Therefore, they were the worst kind of heretics and had to be burned. This accounts for the large number of witch trials and executions in North America and particularly Europe from 1450 to 1700. A few of those burned may have been simple sorcerers. As in our first definition, most had no connection with magic at all. None actually worshipped the devil. The idea of diabolical witches was an invention of its time, but one that has survived among many conservative Christians, thanks in part to misleading translations of the Bible. Modern witchcraft. The third definition is that used by many modern witches. In this, witchcraft is a religion with a capital W. It is a mystery religion, which believes in one ultimate deity, but puts special emphasis on the female aspect of that deity in the form of the goddess, and it reveres gods from the old pagan religions. At the same time, witchcraft uses magic, which witches believe is part of the natural world around them and not something remote or supernatural, as part of their spiritual development and identity as witches. Incidentally, modern witches reject the suggestion of satanic associations on the understandable grounds that Satan the devil is a Christian concept, and witches worship neither the Christian God nor its devil. Yet, to avoid the negative value still attached to witchcraft, many practitioners refer to it as Wicca and to themselves as Wiccans. Both words are revivals of the Old English term for witch. This, then, is the definition of witchcraft broadly adopted by A Secret History, though the word is also used in historical context to mean what people said it meant at that time. It should also be pointed out that, just as there is no evidence that witches worshipped the devil in the late Middle Ages, there is equally no evidence that witches worshipped the old pagan gods then, either. The modern religion of Wicca can thus be seen as a fusion of folk magic or sorcery with pagan worship, plus borrowings from ceremonial magic dating back to Egypt and ancient Judea. Ends with a close look at how this dramatic revival of witchcraft occurred and how witches have been able to emerge slowly from the shadows where they have been forced to hide. Witchcraft now appears to have a bright future. To understand how it has got there, we first need to consider its secret, and often dark, history. The ancient world of witchcraft. Most societies in the world have a tradition of witchcraft. Many societies also revered goddesses such as Ishtar and Isis, who were linked with magic and witchcraft. Meanwhile, the Hebrews developed the idea of an evil god or devil, which in turn came to be identified in Western culture with anyone who performed witchcraft. Witchcraft and religion. The use of magic, in which the force of a person's will harnesses natural forces to influence events or outcomes, is common to most cultures in the world. At its most basic, such magic is not part of a religion, but could be referred to as simple magic in which certain acts are carried out to defined effects. This might be sticking a pin in the image of someone to cause harm to that person, or having sex in a newly sown wheat field to ensure that the coming harvest is a good one. This form of folk magic is similar to that practiced by those so-called cunning folk or wise women who survived the persecutions of the European and North American witch crazes in the late Middle Ages and the early modern periods. These traditions lasted into and beyond the 20th century, although today, this folk magic is practiced by only a few. For these people, spells to mend a broken heart, cure warts or other ailments, or simply to bring good luck were not, and are not, the rituals of a religion. They were, as they saw it, simply harnessing the natural powers of the world around them. A different form of magic is that where spirits and ultimately gods are invoked in the process of rituals. Here, the magic is an integral part of a religious system, where the participants have a coherent set of that seek to explain humanity's place in the world. This kind of magic is closely related to that practiced by most modern witches, those who are part of the Wicca or witchcraft religion. These witches point out that such magic is not supernatural, it is simply using hidden laws of nature. However, the rituals are in the context of worshipping or revering goddesses and gods, who are in turn but many different aspects of the one true deity. At the heart of this belief system is the role of the goddess, Mother Nature, or, as she is also known, the Lady. Many of the old gods revered today by modern witches have their origins in the cultures of the Near and Middle East, where goddesses, gods, and magicians were at the heart of societies. The gods and witches of the Sumerians, Babylonians, and Egyptians in turn influenced the Hebrew world and its view of magic and gods. The shifting view of magic through this crucial period in history has profoundly affected the way Western world views witchcraft. When people today confront the reality of witchcraft, they are doing so with assumptions that go back thousands of years. A woodcut showing witches dancing in a forest from The Witch of the Woodlands, 1655 by Lawrence Price, a writer of pamphlets and amusing poems of the time. Graving of Allegory of Mother Earth, c.1515 by Italian artist Cristofano Rabetta depicts the earth as a fertile goddess at the center of nature. The idea of the goddess, the notion of a mother goddess, was central to many ancient cultures, and is at the spiritual heart of the modern mystical religion of witchcraft, but it has also been controversial among historians and anthropologists. From the 19th century onwards, there was a growing consensus among experts that a religion worshipping the Earth Mother or Great Goddess had preceded all other deity-based systems of belief. At the time there was said to be a matriarchal society. Only later, the theory goes, Did society become more patriarchal and the reverence for the goddess was supplanted by a more masculine god, such as the god of the Hebrews and later the Christians? This view of the goddess's mother deity was expressed powerfully in a 2nd century novel known as The Golden Ass, written by the poet and philosopher Lucius Apuleius. In this work the goddess Isis is seen as all-embracing, all-encompassing, telling the hero, "From me come all gods and goddesses who exist." In 1948 the British poet Robert Graves followed other 19th and 20th century writers when he published The White Goddess. In this book Graves, too, suggested that there had been a pre-existing universal moon and earth goddess. Nowadays, however, the accepted view of most experts is that there is no evidence for a predating religion of the goddess. The archaeological and anthropological evidence suggests that societies began with small, local deities, some of whom were later subsumed into bigger, more powerful gods and goddesses. Mother Goddess. This does not mean, though, that the goddess did not play a central role in many ancient religions. As we saw from Apuleius in his depiction of Isis, the goddess in the ancient world could be an immensely powerful, awesome deity, representing the moon, the earth, fertility, and nature as well as magic. What is clear is that from the beginning of the early Christian era, and possibly earlier, the worship of the goddess was replaced during the intensely patriarchal society that developed. This eclipse of the mother goddess in Western, some would probably see it as a suppression, lasted until a revival of interest in the female deity and nature emerged in the literary and philosophical Romantic movement of the 19th century. It now finds religious expression in modern Wicca. The echoes of the goddess did not disappear altogether, however, even from the ruthlessly dogmatic Christian Church. For, in the elevation of the Virgin Mary in Christian mythology, we see some strong similarities to the goddess deities of the past. Though Christian scholars have insisted that she is just human, it's a point that has perhaps been lost on the millions who have prayed to her over the centuries for comfort and guidance. To them, she performs some of the roles of a goddess. One more aspect of the goddess needs to be mentioned here. Modern Wiccans revere 3 aspects of the goddess, the so-called triple goddess. These are the maiden or virgin, the mother, and the crone or hag. All are seen as equally important. The is associated with spring, the waxing moon, and independence, the mother with summer, the full moon, and creation. The crone is associated with the growing darkness of autumn, the waning moon, and wisdom. Different goddesses of the ancient world were associated with some or all of these. However, the crone aspect, which is supposed to represent the necessary introversion and fallowness of darkness and winter as a precursor to creation, has often been represented or misrepresented as dangerous and evil. This, in turn, helped color the way that many in the ancient world regarded witchcraft. In time, the Christian world was to use this image of the elderly, female crone as part of its demonization of witchcraft. Raving of Madonna and Child from c. 1512 to 1516 by Marc Antonio Raimondi, designed by the artist Raphael, with whom he often collaborated. Of the Babylonian goddess.